You're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. Back to the Top 6 Show. Smash the like and the share button. Make sure you're subscribing as well. Brilliant panel for you tonight. I'll introduce you in a few moments, but lots of hot topics to go through. Declan Rice to Arsenal is at match point, according to Fabrizio Romano. I love it. It's the best new transfer phrase out there. Give me some titles of that when I clickbait this up. We're talking Onana to Chelsea and a big money bid expected for him, according to Nazir Kinsella. Man United entering the race for Caicedo. Bernardo Silva set to leave City, potentially, according to Santi. PSG bound he is. And of course, we're going to discuss the treble win and where City now sit in the landscape of English football after they've surpassed Chelsea's total major trophy haul. And they are gaining on Arsenal, but have that European success as well. So lots of debates, lots of things to talk about on the show today. Introducing the panel, we've got Deluded Gooner on, making his debut on the Football Terrace. How are you, mate?
Appreciate you for having me, man. I'm sweet, man. Yourself?
Cannot complain. I'm glad the season's
Amen.
over. I'm glad the season's over. But yeah, I'm all good. We've got man like Chatty Patty back with us, who's been causing a storm in the Spurs fan base this last week or so.
Yeah, just speaking my mind and being honest and not just being fake just because news is announced. I don't have to be positive if it's not what I feel is positive news. So we'll get into it. But yeah, man, it went down quite interestingly. That's all I can say.
Certainly did, Chatty Patty. We've got man like JJ here with us, Jerry James in the house. Mo's here. Commiserations, by the way, Mo. I know you didn't. You know you were busy on Saturday night after the game, but commiserations after Lukaku cost you dear in the dying few moments as well. And we've got man like Kaz here from Never a Foul as well. Of course, Mo's from Never a Foul. Also, you can subscribe to their channel, link in our description below. But loads to talk about. We will get on to the treble and the Champions League later. So everyone sit back, get the popcorn out and get ready. But I actually wanted to start with Liverpool on the show tonight, because it's been reported that Thuram has told Nice that he has intentions to leave and join Liverpool. Nice have accepted his wish and are going to demand around £50 million to get this deal done. Jerry, good enough player for Liverpool? And do you think you'll part with that £50 million asking price that Nice want?
Good enough player, 100%. I mean, if you look at Liverpool's midfield, it's dire. Like, anyone that comes in right now is going to be on par, if not better than what we've got right now. So for me, very, very interesting and kind of exciting links from what I've seen from him. I don't watch the French league. I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched any game this season, but the compilations look good. He's a big presence. He's athletic. He's tall. Injury record's good. So it's something that Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, we do need in that midfield, some steel in there as well. And he's got a bit of ability. Will Liverpool part with 50 million? I'm inclined, I want to say yes, but historically, you just never know with FSG. You just never know. There's reports that came out recently, I think today or yesterday, that we were in for Manu Kone, but we might not be interested in him anymore because we haven't got the money to spend and we've got to address in other areas. So I don't know. It will be catastrophic if Liverpool don't, because I don't know who's the B option then. If that's our main target now after securing McAllister, and everyone knows that we need about 3 midfielders, I think every Liverpool fan will tell you that. If he doesn't come, then who are we going for? And I think that's you then get into this kind of this weird kind of space where teams know that you're desperate. The prices then go up, and then you end up actually overpaying for a player that you actually didn't want in the first place. So for me, just spend the money and get the player in as quickly as possible, so we can just bed him in, and he starts pre-season with McAllister in that midfield.
He certainly looks good. You're also linked to James Ward-Prowse today. Now, I'm not. I mean, I don't rate him as a first teamer, but he's definitely better than. I think he's a lot better than a relegated Southampton personally. That a good move to add that? Is that kind of almost seen as like a James Milner replacement? Is that how that's being looked at? Or do you need to aim for bigger and better than Ward-Prowse?
I know a lot of Liverpool fans don't necessarily like Ward-Prowse. They don't want him to start at Liverpool. talks of obviously him not having the engine that our midfield that won, the league and the Champions League did. But if he comes in alongside McAllister, Thuram, and for argument's sake, Pavard as an example, that's a good window for me. I think it's someone that, especially when you're playing in the Europa League, you've got someone there. He helps obviously with the homegrown quota, and he's deadly from set pieces. And I think if you've got someone like off the bench or just in your squad, he can always be a difference maker. Now, look, if the Thuram deal doesn't go over the line and we get in Ward-Prowse and it ends up being Ward-Prowse and McAllister, then serious questions have to be asked. And it's spooky settings at that point. It's spooky because a lot of Liverpool fans expect Liverpool to be challenging for the league next year. And I don't know if midfielder Ward-Prowse, McAllister and Henderson does that.
I have to disagree, man. That's a bad move for Liverpool. It's a great move for Ward-Prowse, bad move for Liverpool, man. I think James Ward-Prowse is more of a depth signing, not a first-team signing where I feel like you need 3 first-team signings.
That's what I said.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wouldn't say that's a good window because McAllister, Thuram, but you need somebody else. Defensive mid-cover, potentially. Because I think Thuram can be potentially a DM in future.
I think
he likes to drift forward as it currently stands, and it's all potential matters. I just feel like James Ward-Prowse is not exactly the move that Liverpool should go for until you secure at least another 2 midfielders.
I would agree. But the thing for me is we're looking at our midfielders. A lot of them aren't leaving. Fabinho's still going to be there. Henderson's still going to be there. Thiago's still going to be there. Jones is still going to be there. Bajcetic is still going to be there. Elliott is still going to be there. So, in an ideal world, football manager, FIFA career mode, I'm dashing all those players away and I'm grabbing, first teamers in. Am I going to be able to, are Liverpool really going to be able to go and do that? Look, unless there's some massive movement, in terms of transfers and in terms of outgoings this summer at Liverpool, you're going to have to buy a midfielder that's going to come in and kind of sit on the bench and do the role that, as Terry just said, do the Milner role, or play the same amount of minutes that Naby Keita or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain did because they weren't able to get games because they were injured. Because that's essentially what we need. If we can get some more minutes out of them, if they're available on the bench, strengthens the depth of the squad, then But as I said, if that's a first teamer, then it's not looking good at all.
He's definitely going to be a first teamer because Thiago cannot stay fit. So it's definitely a replacement for Thiago. He's like a tempo setter on the pitch, keeps passing from the defense to the forward line. I think that James Ward-Prowse isn't a bad move to Liverpool, to be honest, as a bench player for Thiago that we know he's not going to be able to play more than 25 games. I'm not sure. I think people look at James Ward-Prowse because his ability on the free kicks. I think people don't look at the other aspects. I think he's not as bad as people make him be. I think people are looking at, he's absolutely fantastic in the corners. But what about the other aspects of the game? I don't think he's as bad as people talk about him. He isn't bad. I think he can do a job at Liverpool for the right price. He's good depth, experienced as well, captained the team before at Southampton. Yes, they got relegated, but he played very progressive football before under Hasenhuttl. I think it's not a bad move at all. People make it as one of the worst moves. No, he's not Liverpool level. He's not there to start every game. He's there to be backup for Thiago.
Did you not hear what JJ said? Pick out what JJ said in key words. He said challenge. James Ward-Prowse, I agree with you though, Mo, but they don't need free kick specialists. They don't need dead ball specialists, in my opinion. He's an average player, let's be honest. That's done very well in an average team. He stood out a little bit because he can take free kicks and he's a good set. They got Trent, they got Robbo. These people can take stuff like that. I don't think that he's the guy for Liverpool. If he said Tottenham, on the other hand,
that's why I disagree with you. Because if you're only...
I'm not sure about that, Kaz. I don't know why you're...
Hear me out, Hear me out, Jules. Hear me out, yeah. Why I say Liverpool and not and Tottenham in different breaths, because we always talk about Liverpool being this great team, which they are, and we talk about Tottenham being they need to know their level. James Ward-Prowse probably right now for what you need, because I don't think you have loads and loads of options to go and get. If we're talking about within the Premier League itself. That's why I say somewhere like Tottenham might be a good base for him, where you want to be. I think he can push you to where you want to be, and then eventually probably, start getting him out of the team when you need to. But I just don't. I think he walks into your team at the moment. Whereas Liverpool, I just feel like Thiago and McAllister's a like-for-like replacement. That's where I'd put James Ward-Prowse in that kind of position, in that 8, where I feel like Liverpool lack an attacking 8, and they also lack a DM.
The thing is, I agree.
I think be that attacking 8, maybe box to box for you as well, JJ. Do you know where I'm trying to come from? Maybe.
Yeah, 100%. The thing is with Klopp though, and we've seen it. Gini Wijnaldum played off the left and as a second striker at Newcastle. Liverpool signed him, he plays as an 8, rotates sometimes into the sticks. That kind of just keeps the ball, keeps possession of the ball. We've seen, Mane started off on the right, ends up playing on the left and plays in the centre. If Klopp looks at a player and sees the kind of attributes that he wants in a particular position, he's going to be like, see, if we can get that player and play him here, that's going to work. I look at Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo played on the left for PSV. Now he looks dead on bank. He's a banker to go and start down the middle and do that kind of Firmino kind of false 9 role. So for me, I think there's many options. You either play Thuram as the DM, even though he started playing there for Nice anyway, but he's obviously progressed in the last couple of seasons, played a bit further forward, but he's probably playing as a DM. You'd have McAllister on the left. And then for me, and it's a mad thing to say, and that's where the issue is, you're going to have Henderson on the right. And I think that's what Klopp's going to go with, and it's crazy to go in here. The alternative is you move Trent into midfield, and Liverpool are obviously linked with signing Pavard. Now, Pavard's someone that can go and play that right back, right centre-back role. You having a player there that can go and do that, it means your midfield now consists of Fabinho or Thuram, McAllister, and Hendo, Trent, whoever you want to obviously go and dash there. Ward-Prowse then obviously becomes an option. And I think with a player like that, and you're saying, we don't need dead ball specialists, Liverpool are actually one of the most dangerous teams from set pieces. Now, if we can go and have another player that can offer something like that, it means that we can potentially win more games. Now, if you look at our depth right now from midfield, who's coming on? It's Elliott, it was Carvalho, it was Jones. Ward-Prowse on paper is a better player than them. He's proven it. So having someone like that in the squad, if you can get your key targets, is not too bad. Of course, if you end up with just Ward-Prowse, as you said, and McAllister as your midfield kind of rejuvenation, then you're in the mud.
I hear that. Deluded, from your point of view, Arsenal looking to bolster their midfield. If you were linked to someone like Ward-Prowse, would you be infused or frustrated with the lack of perceived quality?
I mean, obviously, as a fan, you're going to be frustrated. You want shiny new toys. You want in our case, you want the Caicedos, you want the Rices, etc. But as we all know, spending money doesn't really mean much. I don't think Ward-Prowse is a level raiser, but I think he's a competent and confident player. I think he's relatively experienced. Obviously, he's English and he's homegrown. He keeps things ticking over. I think he's a lot more dynamic and energetic in midfield than given credit for. I echo the points about being great from set pieces and how much that would help Liverpool and that would help us. So yeah, if we was linked with Ward-Prowse, I think we need more than that, but I'd actually have him, really, if I'm honest with you.
I kind of feel this. I feel like Ward-Prowse, I view him in the same way as I do Mount to Man United. As long as he's part of a very good window,
exactly,
it's too bad. If he's your main central midfield signing,
then you're in trouble.
He might as well go inside Oliver Skip or someone. Do you know what I mean? Like bang average.
What are you trying to say about Skip?
To be a bit nicer to Ward-Prowse, man. He's not that
Skip is bang average. I'm not going to sit here and defend him just because
I'm a fan of Skip. I can't lie, man. I think he's got a lot.
I like to say the same thing.
If you're a fan of Skip, then you should be a fan of Ward-Prowse.
And you don't like James Ward-Prowse?
Ward-Prowse is much better than Skip.
No, it's Ollie Skip. No, because I think Ollie Skip's been part of a bad Spurs setup. That's why I think he's not really been shining for the last couple. That's why I don't really want to say all the Chelsea players that last season were garbage. Same thing with Spurs. Basuma's not garbage, but guess what? He had a worse season than Ollie Skip. I'm going to start saying Basuma is worse.
I hear it. But I think Ward-Prowse is better than Skip, though. I can't lie to you. Much better in every capacity as a midfielder.
I think he is. We're kind of on Tottenham a little bit, and it's worth pointing this out. It wasn't part of our title today, but Ben Jacobs has revealed Jadon Sancho legitimately on the list for Tottenham. They're talking 50, 60 million. I said it on last night's show. I will drive him to your club for that. I would. Technical ability, Jadon Sancho has it for days. Physical ability to play in the Premier League. I'm sorry to say this about him, but he's a bit of a cream puff. Doesn't have that strength, doesn't have that explosive speed that's needed. Please, Tottenham, buy him. But you guys excited about the idea of maybe getting Jadon Sancho? You Spurs fans on? Go on, George.
I wouldn't say excited. And like you say, for me, like Sancho, when he signed for Man United, look, we all get the banter. We all love to run the jokes on him, but he generally was one of the best talents in Europe when he came there. He was a top player at Dortmund, and everyone saw he had all the attributes making to be a top winger in the Premier League. Like I said, I don't feel like he's hit the ground running. I don't feel like all the background issues that's been going on with Man United over the past 2 seasons has helped. I feel like also there is some bad influences around him at Man United. I feel like there's just too much friends and people around that makes him comfortable in the environment. So when he's there, he's not actually too focused on the football. I feel like there's a sense of similar what happened to Dele Alli at Tottenham, what could potentially happen to Sancho. I feel like it is a good time for him to make a move. I wouldn't be so against it. I feel like if he comes into this Tottenham team under Ange, where we play with the wide forwards and we're just going to be direct with the 1v1s down the wings, it could work well for him. I feel like he would have a great link up with Porro, and it'd be a move that I'd actually be open to. 60 million might be pushing it. Knowing us as Spurs, I'm not saying it's too much money in general, but we don't spend too much. Spending 60 million on Sancho means we're not spending that 60 million on any other attacking players, and any other attacking players we bring in are going to be minimal transfers. So I'm not too sure if I want to put all my eggs in the Jadon Sancho basket, but I wouldn't write him off. I do think that he still has a future in the Premier League, and under Ange, and in this Tottenham team, I think he can do something. It'd be very interesting to see, and I think he'll do well.
I'd be against it, to be honest.
You'd be against it?
Yeah, because right now he's not what we need. We need two centre backs, ideally a left-footed centre back to partner Romero. We need another good centre back to come off the bench
for €6 million. I mean,
forget that. And then we also need.
Phil Jones is available for free. Phil Jones is available for free. Free of charge.
I thought we was having serious conversations here, lad.
Maybe Maguire as a package as well with Sancho.
So
right,
yeah,
if you buy Sancho, we throw in Phil Jones and Maguire for free, bruv.
Exactly. That's you know what? Sancho is a talented player. I like him. I liked him before he joined Man United. Even funny enough, the game against Tottenham at our stadium, he was good and he scored a goal and he looked good in that. He came off around about the 60th, 70th minute, but he had a good game that game. But he's not what we need right now. We need more pressing targets to come in first. So I don't really understand the links, if I'm being honest. And I'd rather that be at the end of the window once we've got we need a goalkeeper. Yes, we're close to David Raya, cool. We need a centre-back to come in and start. We need another good centre-back off the bench because Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, and even, what's his name? The young guy that isn't young anymore. Can't remember his name. Tanganga. So crap, I forgot his name. Tanganga. He needs to go. We need a creative midfielder. There's so many pieces we need before we'd go and buy Jadon Sancho. So for me, it doesn't make any sense. I do like him, but right now, no.
I hear you, Kaz. As much as I'm someone that isn't the biggest fan of Sancho at United, I know he's got talent. Would you be worried about him leaving and then we see the real Jadon Sancho? Would you give him one more year to try and prove himself at the club, or do you think he's had enough opportunities now?
No, I'll get rid of him. I've had enough. 2 years. Then before you know it, you know where it comes down to. Ed Woodward at this stage of giving him 350k. So typically you start negotiating with a player when he got 2 years left on his contract, right? So what happens when it comes to contract negotiations and he's still on 350k? And then at this point, he might start thinking, oh, I might just run down my contract then. That's still 350k. You're going to get a bump up contract from that. He's going to have to take a pay cut. Depending on how much he wants it at United, I'd get rid of him. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of keeping him for one more season, but for what Man United need right now, Garnacho is our best winger for me. Then there's Rashford, who I think is more of an inside forward. That left-hand side sorted. Now look at the right-hand side. 80 million, man, that's Ten Hag's guy. He looked good on the right. I liked him in the right, especially on pre-season. But I think Amad Diallo is going to come in and Pelestri will be looking for some game time next year, improved game time. And where does he fit? And then now you've got a 72 million man on the bench, and what for? Because he's going to live up to his potential. Then we're going to have to question. It's always going to be like the Pogba. Like, I love Pogba, man. One of my favorite players, but the inconsistencies were annoying. His injuries were annoying. The problems were just annoying. And yes, I would say there's some other stuff that he didn't deserve from the media. But it's like, when are you going to unlock Sancho? It's a bit like Pogba. When you're going to unlock Pogba, you're going to give him the keys.
Yeah. That nonsense never worked. And you are right. End of this next season, he goes into his last 2 years. He isn't going to want to, even if we sell him, by the way, we're going to have to still pay a percentage of his salary because he's never going to give up that 350. So you are looking at a situation, you're right, where if you keep him, you then end up, you either let him go for free, but then you've got a man taking up a squad space, 350 grand a week for another 2 years, or you do a deal with a club like Tottenham and say, right, you're going to pay him 150 grand. We still might have to pay him 150,000 pound a week for the rest of his contract, but it frees up the opportunity to bring somebody else in. I'm a little.
Didn't Ben Jacobs also say that Napoli and another Italian club are potentially looking at him? PSG are looking at Sancho as well, and I know they're looking definitely for a winger of some sort because Neymar is on the way out.
There's talent in him. There's talent in the guy, and there's no doubt there'll be big clubs interested in him. Look, I'd much prefer him to leave and go to PSG or Napoli because he's not as much of a threat to us. That one thing when you sell your talented players, whether they deliver for you or not, to other Premier League clubs, they can hurt you more being at home. But
can I throw one more if buts, maybe?
Yeah,
what if you give him a proper striker to work with? Sancho's known to be working with a proper striker at Dortmund. Haaland, the one before that was they had that poacher. He always get injured all the time. Paco.
Was it not Dembele?
Paco Alcacer.
Yeah, Paco Alcacer as well. A poach, like a proper striker in the box. He's only 22 at the end of the day. We might prove it, but I don't think Man United can afford, and I think you'd agree, Terry, for more potential. We need now.
I agree with you. And a few people, by the way, earlier said, why did I call Deluded, because that's his YouTube name.
That's my name, man.
Yeah. Why did you call somebody Deluded? It's his name.
Yeah, man.
Do you think Man United should give Sancho another year? We know he's got the talent, but do you feel 2 years is enough to show some consistency, or does he deserve more time based on the talent that he's got?
It's a techie one with Sancho because I think one thing that never helped Jadon is this perception. He's never really been a winger that hugs the touchline. He's never quite lived or died by goals and assists. His game is more built on short passes and things like that. I don't think he was prepared to deal with necessarily the pressure that comes with wearing the shirt for Man United. Obviously, he's joined Man United where it's been a turbulent time where, like you lot said, there's several areas in your squad you can improve. I'd persist with him, but while he's still young at 22, 23, you want to see a little more. He does seem like one of those players that you have to consistently put an arm around, and when he's in good form, you lot probably have seen it. There's probably been a series of games where he's really played out of his skin, and then after that he's kind of dropped off a level. Where you want Man United to go back to where they need to be, obviously they're humans, but probably need less of that. I'd persist with him because I don't think you have another choice. I think if you were to get rid of him, you're reliant on someone taking on the wages. If he is on 300 odd K, even if you're paying a percentage of that, you've got a decision to make. He's got Euros to obviously concern himself with. So he's got enough reason to want to get it right at United. But as you lot have said, the left-hand side looks a bit sorted. Right-hand side, you've got Mr. Anthony. It's a techie one with Jadon, man, and I really don't know. It's one where it's probably at his career now, where as much as you've got Ten Hag, you've worked with Ronaldo, you've been around talented players, you've got to want it for yourself now, and I just don't see light at the end of the tunnel currently. But, form is temporary, class is permanent. The man's got ability, and I'd have him at Arsenal, really, if I'm honest with you. But honestly, I don't know, man. I think you have to keep him, really.
From his point of view, the Euros is very important. I'm looking, which is very strange, I'm looking for another Loftus-Cheek. Great potential. Had great seasons at Dortmund. If he doesn't get game time in the next 2 years, he'll be 25. He might not have another opportunity to show his level. He needs to go and show the level this year to get into the squad for the Euros for the England, and that will make his future bright again. But if he stays at Man United, doesn't get it right this year at Man United, I think it might be done.
Maybe the scrutiny is too much for him.
Again.
But maybe it is. Like, this is the thing. I think there's pictures of him the other day on a runway somewhere about to get onto a private jet, go on holiday, and I saw some United fans angry at him. For me, I'm only ever angry at somebody's performance. I don't care that he's going on holiday with his boys. Go live your life, do your thing. I love that. But maybe there's an element of Jadon Sancho where, because of the contracts and the endorsements and the money he makes, maybe there's a part of him that just isn't as hungry as I would like him to be as a footballer. Now,
naturally, he probably is complacent.
There is an element of that, and I don't have a problem with that, other than I don't want players like that at my club, because I want everybody with an attitude to try and become the best in the world, so the team is the best. And I feel like maybe for Jadon, it's about finding a club where they're happy for you just to be a good footballer, as opposed to striving to keep improving. Now, I might be well off the mark there, and he's working harder than anybody else and trying to get himself back to the top. But whatever the reason is for him not performing at Man United, whether it's handling the pressure, like you said, Deluded, whether it's he doesn't want it as much as maybe some of the fans want him to, maybe it's just that the style of football in the Premier League and the speed isn't suited to him. Whatever that reason, you've got to make a decision as to whether or not you give him another chance or you move him on, because all I care about is my football club getting better. And the problem is when you keep someone like Sancho not delivering, too many people online become personal about him, and that's where it becomes an issue. I'm just talking about his professionalism. When I saw him pull out that tackle against Sevilla, yeah, I call him a cream puff, but I'm talking about his on the football pitch. I don't know what he's like in real life. I'm not going to judge his personality. That's stupid. But professionally, I'm just not sure he's going to cut it. And
Terry, don't you think that
money.
He reflects the culture of what Man United was when he came into the club?
Yes.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like. He obviously, I don't feel like since Ten Hag come in, you can see a big change in a lot of the players. I feel like he's just one of those players that's still stuck in that past prior to Ten Hag, that he hasn't had such an impact on him personally. Maybe because he doesn't favor him as a player. He signed Anthony straight away to replace him. So maybe he feels a bit left out. But I definitely think that under a new team, a new club, that you will see a new lease of life.
It looks like he needs a mentality shift more than anything.
Yeah, but
he's got to really want it.
It's just not an argument. They just maybe just not good enough.
There's also that.
Because you look at it, because you just look at it and are like, look, at Dortmund is great, but there's so many players that have done really, really well at Dortmund. They just do really, really well. Like Dortmund's that type of team, especially if you come in
Germany, full stop, really.
You play a lot of games. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of who you are, you like Dahoud was playing loads of games. Now he's at Brighton. Do you know what I mean? At one point, Liverpool linked with him. Like maybe he's just not good enough because for England he hasn't been amazing.
Kagawa always stands out to me. That man for 3 years at Dortmund before he joined United, people talk about one of the best number 10s in the world. He comes to Man United and he was all right. Mkhitaryan, yeah, another one. There's loads of them.
Haller as well. He's gone back to Germany. He's doing all right.
No,
so that's what maybe what it is, because when you look at it from a marketing perspective, and that's what United just always do. Oh, look, we're going to get a new number 7. It's going to work out. It's going to be able to go and do X, Y, Z. You know, like it's a winger. It's the new thing up and coming from. Do you know what I mean? From this abroad kind of just pack of just players, and maybe it's just not that. Maybe it's just not that.
Just as you start talking, a Liverpool fan here said, "Here's the Evertonian." Shake my head, depressing. Yeah, this Liverpool fan don't like you, JJ. Thinks you're an Evertonian.
Yeah, I can see it.
Curtis
Hope you have
Jones,
a good day, though.
This super chat says Curtis Jones is a better player than Ward-Prowse.
But let's be honest. I like Curtis Jones. I actually like. He's one of my favorite players. He is. But let's just cut the crap. Like based on what?
Scouse accent. That's it, isn't it?
No, but this is what I'm saying. But it's fans like this that make it difficult to support the club, and back you when you say stuff like this. Like this. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Remember, JJ, I had a conversation
with you. Serious.
JJ, remember I had a conversation with you last season. I like Curtis Jones as well, and I was giving him props on your channel, wasn't I? But to say he's better than Ward-Prowse, no way. Ward-Prowse has proved it in the Premier League year on year on year. In the
Curtis Jones hasn't even got into the England setup, so let's just ignore that. Let's just. I'm not saying Curtis Jones can't be better than him. I'm not saying Curtis Jones might not have more ability than him. But when you look on paper, you've got a brother that's played like over 200, 300 games. You've got another player that's just entering his career. Like, let's just be honest about it.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel they're just completely different players. One of them is an advanced midfielder attacking, he's scoring goals, and one of them is a deep line playmaker. I think it's completely different. I don't know why we're comparing both.
I hear you there. Well, we have to respond to the super chats. Another story that's circulating. So there's two of them. First one, Bernardo Silva reportedly agreed terms with Paris Saint-Germain, and that's come from Santi, who's a very credible journalist. And there's also updates on Chelsea and Arsenal looking to pursue Moises Caicedo. We're going to delve into both of them now. Before we, just in the interest of time, because I know Delude's got to shoot soon and pick up children, but Caicedo, how much do you want him at Arsenal, bruv?
Boy, if I could sign him right now, I would, man. You know, he's just a tug, man. He's really with it. Like, you hear the way he speaks, you see what he does. You know, he always plays well against us. We need an out-and-out 6. I hear all of this, being able to play multifunctional ways and stuff. But when it gets ugly, as you have seen this season, Arsenal struggle with physicality. We saw it at Everton. We saw it with Liverpool when they woke up as well. We saw it with West Ham as well recently. We saw it when we dropped points with Southampton. We need physicality. And obviously, I'm not talking about in the distance covered on a football field. We need physicality, and he's got that. Obviously, you've seen him play as a centre mid. You've seen him a bit more play on the right hand side. Unorganically at right back. So I'm all for that, man. I think I'm not going to get hung up on the Caicedos and the Rices, but I thought even if Xhaka and Partey was still here, even before getting into all those links, we needed an 8, we needed a 6, we need 2 midfielders in it. So if we could get Caicedo tomorrow, do it. Obviously, the fear for Arsenal fans is probably what we all expect, in that Chelsea are just going to put the money down, pay in more favourable terms, and then it is what it is. I think we'll be fortunate to get either one, but I'm open to being positively surprised. But regardless of that, we need to address midfield. That's the one area that definitely where the Champions League is concerned, we can't go into it with one. We need it all done. We need favourable options. So if Caicedo, if we've got a chance of Caicedo, Arteta and Edu need to do what they can to get that done.
Deluded, who would you prefer, Caicedo or Rice, if you had to pick one?
It's a techie one, man. It's a techie one. For me, do you know what? I'd actually prefer Caicedo just because I think if Partey's not there, we don't have anyone that directly kind of goes this like for like. We can kind of play around with the 8. But then when I think about Rice and I see what Pep's done with John Stones, with Rice in a different team that's going to be on the ball a lot more, and the fact that he is quite box to box and he does get further forward, I think he's almost of a blank canvas for Arteta. So if Arteta, it's more for Arteta, it seems that clearly, we want Rice a bit more than Caicedo just based on the media. So I'd lean towards Rice. But if it was me, Caicedo, purely because it's a like for like if Partey is not there. And even though Partey in his time at Arsenal this season that's just gone, he's probably been as fit as he's ever been. But you're never quite confident. And you look at City, you look at Liverpool when they've won titles. Yes, they've been injured, but the best trait you could have is availability. Half of them players, the Salahs, the etc., they're always fit. And to me, it don't look like, again, I'm not a Brighton fan, but it doesn't look like Caicedo's ever injured. Declan Rice the same. So that's the sort of ilk we need to be going for, man. So if it was me, Caicedo, I think Arteta wants Rice. If that's what the gaffer wants, you know, you've done all right this season. Go and get him the man, really and truly, I do, and keep it moving, really.
I hear you. Are you someone that's behind Arteta, like 100% now after the season he's had, or are there still big question marks for you over his ability to bring these players in and kind of take you to that next level?
I mean, naturally, until you've done what Pep's done or you've done what Klopp's done historically, there's going to be question marks. We haven't won a major trophy in it. For Arteta, I've seen enough to back you. Backing you doesn't mean I agree with everything. If I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm just going to blindly follow stuff. I think for Arteta, I like what you've done. Ultimately, we crumbled. We bottled this season, blah, blah, blah. But I like what you've done. I think the question marks is for me, when it starts getting towards the end of the year, the new year and into the new year, can you start rotating? When the FA Cup, etc., comes in, we've kind of struggled with that. And I've not really been happy with how we've exited the Europa League. I think he's a bit like Wenger in the sense of, at times, his greatest strength and weakness is he defends players a bit too much. And football's not Disneyland. You're not going to get to where you need to get to with Rob Holding and people of that ilk. In relation to bringing in players, surely that's for Edu, really, because I think when you listen to Arteta's press conferences, especially around the transfer window, and he talks about maximizing windows, I need this, I need that, it's Mr. Edu who's got to go and get them done. That's why I'll be beyond anything. I know we've kind of unofficially got a free run at Rice, but if you get Rice over the line, I'll be happy with it, because I haven't always been happy with Edu. Now, I can't really criticize a man that I don't see what he's doing on the back burners. You know, if Arteta does something good or bad on the training field or on a football pitch, I can see it. The same with the players. So I don't know really what Edu's doing, but it does seem a bit inconsistent with Edu. You know, again, you look at January. From the start of January, we're told Caicedo's not available. We're there scrambling, making bids for no reason. You go back to the summer, Douglas Luiz were bidding for him on the last week of the transfer window, and it wasn't really making sense. So I think this is a window where Edu's got I can't ask you to do everything, it's impossible, but significant business. You step in the right direction, you've confirmed some new contracts, go out and address every area we need, because even when we was running away with, you know, what we was doing and we was winning the league, the cracks were still there, really. So Champions League, there's no hiding place. Like, again, I have to say it again, if midfield's not addressed, considering the fact that Arteta and Edu were midfielders, then for me, I kind of have to tailor in what I expect of next season. But it's that's all on Edu. It's down for Arteta to work with the players. Edu's got to bring them in and obviously flush the players that need to go out as well.
Totally get that. Stand on Caicedo. We obviously know Chelsea are looking at him as well. He's a big target for them. Kaz, is this the type of player? Man United are linked to him today, but it's kind of being played down as staying informed, keeping up to date with the situation. Is this the kind of player that Man United should be going hell for leather for to improve that central midfield?
You lot wanted him when he went to Brighton initially, you know.
100%, yeah.
No, it would be a cheat code next to Casemiro, wouldn't it? Won't need him as a 6. Probably put him in at 8 because he can do it, just control. He's good at that, and he's you can't get a ball off him, can you? Really? He's just one of those type of players. Yeah, it'd be a cheat code. If you wanted to lock a game out, it's done. I'm sorry, but you're not getting through, especially if Kim Min-jae is also to come through the doors. I want Caicedo, and I think Chelsea are relying on this 70, 80 million figure for Mount to go fund that Caicedo deal. And if they think they're going to get anywhere near that, I don't think Man United are going to budge for it. I think in the end, Chelsea's stubborn negotiators and anything that comes around it. I don't actually think we get Mount in the end now, because they really don't want to budge out at 70, and I don't think Man United can afford to pay. Well, they don't feel like he's even, well, from what I've read up, he's not even worth that amount of money. So I think it all comes down to this Mount situation. I've also read that he's next on the list. If Mount don't work, they're going to change target. But they said they want 70 million plus 10 million in bonuses for Caicedo, which is kind of, this is why I said it's not really out of reach for Arsenal to go do after Rice is completed. So I think if Chelsea don't block their ideas up, they're going to lose out on their man. And everyone knows like Caicedo definitely wants to play in the Champions League. So I think that would be a massive factor. But Chelsea's still an attractive club to go towards in West London. It's going to be interesting. I think Man United's just an outside target, but right now, as it currently stands, is between Chelsea and Arsenal. But yeah, if I agree though, Terry, this is a guy we should definitely be going in for because we lack a profile like that in a club.
I think if Arsenal get both Rice and Caicedo, I think they will challenge for the league 100%. I mean, Man United should just go for Caicedo for the sake of him not going to Arsenal along with Declan Rice. If he doesn't go to Chelsea and he ends up at Arsenal, they find the money somewhere and they go for both players, Declan Rice and Caicedo, which is all the reports are saying that they're going to start negotiating Declan Rice, Caicedo. I think Man United should start with that. If he goes to Arsenal, I think Man United are going to miss out on challenging for the league just because he's going to go to Arsenal along with Declan Rice. I think the midfield is going to be unstoppable.
I agree. And I think what's holding United back is the takeover in terms of the overall budget. Big part of our budget currently is being earmarked for a number 9 striker. We obviously want to improve at the back and in the goalkeeping positions as well. Midfield is a priority, but goals are more important. The goalkeeping element, that needs to be that's more important than our midfield, even though there's a hole in our midfield, because you just need in 2023 a goalie that can. We saw Onana the other night. We'll move on to in a minute. As good as Inter were at times in the game, the reason that they're able to actually have some success against City was because they had a goalie that could ping the ball 35, 40 yards and find his man in space.
Trust himself as well.
100%. And he made a few mistakes on the ball, and all goalies do. But then he carried on doing the right thing. And the man I was watching with so much envy. This is why Man United need a takeover to go through, though. They need the debt cleared, a couple of £100 million pumped in from new owners. So there's the budget, because I think you're right, Mo. I think you should be wanting Caicedo irrespective. But Man United used to do this back in the day. You would sometimes go, right, we've got to stop a rival from getting this player. We've got to stop somebody else. Like when Wayne Rooney was hot property, and there was only one team in England that couldn't have got Wayne Rooney in 2004, and that was Liverpool, because I doubt Everton would have done the business. But you had Newcastle that at the time were trying to raise their game back, Champions League again. We had Arsenal sniffing, Chelsea looking at him, and Man United just decided we can't let this talent go to a rival. As much as we
played out for you lot.
Exactly. You can't let this talent happen. I think United have got to do the same here. We've missed out on so many players in the past. Rice is one of them where we've inquired, but they're not sure on the club because of the position we're in. We had a good first season under Ten Hag. We're back in the Champions League. Hopefully new owners on the horizon. We need to stop him from going to Arsenal and Chelsea. Like, to damage Chelsea's rebuild is massive, but I don't know.
I'm afraid it's going to be too late. I'm afraid, man. This is taking too long, that takeover, for decisions to be made. And you're missing on targets. Look at Onana, Caicedo now. He might agree terms with Chelsea and Arsenal before even Man United start talking to him. I think it's taking too long, and nobody waits. Nobody waits.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. That's why United fans are getting frustrated with a lack of updates. I mean, there was loads of updates today on the takeover. They're expecting it to be not complete, but in terms of knowing what's happening in the next week or so. But that transfer window opens in about 36 hours. So yeah, they've got a crack on now, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Caicedo would be a great bit of business. The other story we mentioned was Bernardo Silva agreeing terms, and we know how brilliant he's been for City. They've just picked up this treble, but George, I want to ask you this question: Bernardo Silva leaving, Gundogan. There's a report that's just come out in the Evening Standard saying he's going to be announcing what he's doing tomorrow. They could potentially be losing two of their best players after their greatest ever achievement. Is that a massive positive for rivals, or do you think that City are just going to replace him with a like-minded player and maintain their superiority?
Exactly that. Exactly that. They're going to get replaced. It's the City way. The one thing that we've seen about City over the past 6, 7, 8 years of Pep is as soon as they get an inkling that a player doesn't want to be there, they go. And they get replaced just as easy as when they came in. I don't think City, I feel like the Mateo Kovacic signing, or pretty much what they're getting into with that, is to replace Gundogan. I feel like it's a perfect replacement. You really couldn't get much better. Kovacic is going to be a great player to come into that mold and fit into that team, and I don't think they're going to have issues adapting him into the Manchester City system, or of course into the Premier League. It's never going to be a problem. I feel like Man City just do this. It's part of their business. It's going to be a good move for Bernardo Silva, but I wouldn't be happy as a rival fan. For me, if anything, I'm more worried. I'm more worried because they're going to be looking at some of the best midfielders in the world now. They're going to be looking at who can they get just off the back of a treble. There's no player that they can't take. They'll look at your team. They want your player. They're going to get it. So we've already seen at the moment with Kovacic, with Gvardiol, that they've got some great targets. They always do sign good players, but they're looking at the best. And so I'd be a lot more worried. And I am, as a Tottenham fan. I'm concerned that Manchester City are just going to bridge the gap between themselves and the rest of the Premier League teams as much as possible. The way we have seen Bayern do it to Dortmund, the way we've seen Real Madrid do it to the rest of the teams in La Liga and Barcelona and so on, it's really coming very close to that, the Premier League. So yeah, I'm more worried than anything. I think them getting rid of them, it's better for Man City than it is for anyone else.
I hear that. I mean, rebuilds don't always go the way they want. It has been kind of announced today by ESPN, The Guardian, that Guardiola will see out his contract, but in 2 years' time could leave. But if Gundogan leaves as well, Bernardo Silva going out, Mahrez is meant to be leaving. Is it as easy as just buying quality players to rebuild a team of that level again, or is that rebuild already started with the Alvarez's and Haaland's, etc.? I mean, KDB, I know they're now saying he had a hamstring injury for 2 months, but he's looked like he's not shot, but he looks like his body's starting to wane slightly. Or do you guys
even
agree?
without signing players, though, Terry, they have literally the best academy in the country. The academy has done back to back, just as good as the professional team has. So I feel like if they struggle in the transfer market to identify players of the mold that they want, they do know that they do have academy-ready players that, like we're seeing with Rico Lewis this season, that has come in and can do a very good job.
You wouldn't say
Of course,
Rico
they're
Lewis
not going to
is
jump in and
ready,
replace
though.
them. They're not going to jump in and replace them instantly. But I feel like they have all the options, like Cole Palmer and some other players that can come in and help whilst the new players will be adapting.
I think
Pep's a madman. He already knows.
Guys,
He already knows this was about to be a thing, man. He's probably already got his replacements in mind. I mean, when you look at those players that have been at City, the age, the years they've spent, none of them grew. Well, with a couple of them excluding, none of them grew up in this country. And it's a job at the end of the day. You all know that you have one career. They're probably angling for moves elsewhere. Pep knew this. Pep probably knew a couple of months ago, and they've probably began their rebuild. Obviously, no man is right at everything, but if there's anyone that can cope with these departures, it's Pep. We've all found out now because the reports have come out. Gundogan's had that contract on the table for the best part of a couple of months. You go back 12 months ago, Caicedo was lauded as probably the best fullback in the league. Not missed him. Rebuilt their defense. Half of these players are going to leave half the time, and if anyone can do it, is City. The fear is when you look at it, excluding Haaland and Grealish, they haven't really wowed the market. And kind of echoing what you said is that you're just scared to see what Pep's on, really and truly. I personally don't believe a single Prem team has the chance to win a war, not a battle, until Pep goes. Really, the guy is just crazy.
I don't think they do as well next season. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not saying that they're not going to exactly be challenging. Obviously, they are, bro. You got KDB in there. But to replace the caliber of Bernardo...
Yeah, easier said than done.
Bernardo and Gundo. Yeah, they got Kovacic in, but he's not a goal-scoring machine. They already rely on Haaland to do all the goal-scoring for them, pretty much. And then obviously...
Probably see a lot more Foden next year.
Yeah, I'm going to say Foden, innit?
Foden is probably going to be critical next year, I would say. But to replace, let's just say in hindsight, all three of them do go. That's why I say I don't think they're going to do it as well because they're leaders. They bring in something that a lot of players don't have in their teams. The mentality-wise, they built over years. And this is not just hope, but this is logic. It's like trying to replace the old guard. It's very difficult. And you have to rely on potential of players coming from overseas. That's why I thought Bellingham might have went to Madrid, to City instead. It kind of made sense for me, but it didn't happen. I just feel like it would be... I think they would... I just don't think they'll just do as well, like, until the following season. That's why I feel like Pep's knows. Everyone thought that this year was their rebuild. I think it's this year coming up. They can afford to. They just want a treble.
That's what I was saying. I think they're gonna splash the bag. Really, on who I don't know, but yeah, man, I see them shocking everyone.
But you just got to logically think about it, about the players that they are targeting currently right now, as we know. Who knows? They might go get Barella. Then this whole speech of me doing this is like, nah, bun it. Forget it.
Well, but this is the thing. I mean, the link to Kimmich as well. You bring Kimmich into that midfield. You bring in Guardiola, as you mentioned.
Forget about it.
They're maintaining the levels. And the thing with City, they're not going to do anything mad and just buy random players for like the here and now. They have a plan beyond Pep as well. Now there'll be a drop off when Pep leaves. I agree with Deluded 110%. That's when the levels drop. And the reason I believe the levels will drop is whether you believe he's the greatest manager of all time or the second greatest manager of all time, it is impossible to replace him because there's no manager in the world of his level or of Fergie's level that can maintain this standard of consistency.
The man's a GOAT, man.
If you think about English football in general, you've had Sir Matt, Paisley, Shankly, Fergie, now Guardiola. And then maybe another manager I'm forgetting about who have been able to dominate for a prolonged period of time like this. And even if they're not winning, they're there or thereabouts every single year. So if over 50, 60, 70 years of football, 80 years of football, we've had 4 or 5 of them in the country, the likelihood of City replacing Guardiola with somebody as good is so minimal. That's when the small drop-off is going to happen.
And that's when every other team's got to be ready, man.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to be ready to absolutely pounce on this. I'm more infused today reading that Guardiola might leave in 2 years than I am 2 or 3 players leaving, because Man United under Fergie had loads of players leave. He was called crazy when he let Kanchelskis and Mark Hughes and Paul Ince leave. He was called crazy. Went on to do a three-peat and a treble. When he let Ruud van Nistelrooy go, how are you letting a goal scorer go for Cristiano Ronaldo, they said. Roy Keane was kicked out of the football club for stating that signing the likes of Wayne Rooney and Ronaldo wasn't going to take the club onto another level. Won the Champions League again and did a three-peat. He lost so many players. Jaap Stam replaced him as an example. Guardiola's as good. In some people's eyes, he's better. He will replace these players. This guy won league that done Centurions, did he not? With Delph as a left back. This is just the man's next level. So for me, as a Man United fan, I want to get excited about 2 or 3 of their top players leaving. But
even with Man United, when these players did drop off, we didn't win the league the next year. We had to wait a couple years before we thought about it.
That only happened once. That happened once, and that happened when Mourinho came in. And see, again, the reason why I feel that was different though, Kaz, is because FFP didn't exist in those days, and what Chelsea were able to do in those first 2 or 3 years of Roman is spend exponentially more than anybody else could. So they grew their team a little bit quicker while we were in transition. And we were up against one of the best Arsenal teams in their history at the same time. But as soon as we kind of caught them, like, surpassed them again. And I feel like that's the only difference here. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see if he leaves and how they replace him. Viewers, make sure you're hitting like buttons, by the way. Make sure you're subscribing as well. This here says, hey, Terry, random, but how do we get on Straight Facts? I've been watching for years now, and I have an interest in taking part repping Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, generally when it comes to Straight Facts, we get on established content creators to do that, just like with Top 6. But start coming on to Chelsea match reactions and kind of build your way up from there. That's kind of how we do it, essentially, because we share the links for that, and we can do it. But there's no current free slots at the moment on Straight Facts, but maybe in the future, bro. But thank you for the super chat, brother. It means a great deal to me. Speaking of Chelsea, it looks like they're going to put a big bid in for Onana. Mo, obviously, as an Inter fan, we'll touch on the treble and the Champions League final later, but losing Onana to Chelsea, how much will he improve Poch's team?
Makes them top 4 contenders right away. In my opinion, there is no goalkeeper in the world like Onana. Yes, Edison is on par, probably playing long balls and stuff. I have never seen a goalkeeper that can play short passes. What I mean short, that means 30-yard pass between the lines like Onana. I've never seen someone that does this. I haven't, in my opinion. Like some passes he did in this Champions League, because I watch every Inter game. He does this every game. Like passes, like a team would press us with 5 players and he would just pick the pass between all of them to someone behind. That people don't do that on the ground. I think this guy is different level. I didn't expect him to be this good, to be honest. And also, He saved us in a lot of games. His shot stopping ability is improving. He's on the peak of a goalkeeper, 28 years old. His ball, he's actually an extra player for us every time we have the ball. And we're playing with 12 players when we have the ball because of him. And also his positioning. We saw that Foden chance, any other goalie would rush forward and then it would be dinked on. But he waited and waited for Foden to shoot and just dived where it was. And yes, Foden missed the chance, but his positioning is amazing, to be honest. But this Onana guy, I think he's as good as Alisson. I think he's as good as Ederson playing with his feet. I don't understand why would he go to Chelsea if it was not for the money. I just don't know. With no disrespect, because I had people commenting. We did a video yesterday, and I went on Chelsea yesterday, Mia, and I had this Chelsea guy and then commenting and said that I just hate the club, and I'm like, not really. I'm just stating that your club is in a shambolic position at the moment. You want to get rid of players and you can't, but you want to go for Onana. Yes, you spend the money. I would think if I was Onana, I would flirt with Man United, which is his agent is absolutely flirting with Man United at the moment, just because of Champions League football. And it's Man United, even with the takeover, they're a more stable club than Chelsea at the moment. I don't know why would you want to go to Chelsea if it's only Chelsea. Yes, they offer the money, but I think there are other teams that can offer the same money. But he would improve Chelsea massively. He would take them to a different level, in my opinion.
Best goalkeeper in the world,
in my opinion, based on that final as well. I'm watching the final.
I want to go to Jerry on this because you've got Alisson, who many say is the best. Is Onana of Alisson's level, in your opinion?
I don't know whether to say on his level. I mean, Alisson's done it for a longer period of time. He's won as well. He's won whilst being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So that's obviously a point. But from what I've seen from Onana, comfy on the ball, comfy to pass, to play out the back in the way in which he did against the press that City were playing at times was really, really, really good. And then obviously that not last minute, but that save that he did with his forearm as well. I think it was Haaland's shot in the final as well. I think, yeah, he proved he's a good keeper, and he's going to obviously be better than anything that Chelsea have at the moment, and he's better than De Gea, of course, as well. But he's not better than Alisson. No. He's just not better than Alisson, unfortunately.
Oh, he's at keeper's level, probably.
You know what's really funny about the David De Gea stuff is even his biggest fans have been looking at all these data recently going, even his shot stoppings waned and fallen away. It's like, yes, we've been talking about this for a while now. Like, wake up. No, he was so good, Onana. So, I mean, I don't watch in like European football as regularly as some other people do. As I say, Jess, the football don't stop in this house. I have to walk out of the room just to watch EastEnders because you don't stop watching it. It's ridiculous. And I was legitimately so impressed with what he could do with his feet. And if Chelsea do bring him in, again, Chelsea seem to be getting just kind of mindlessly written off by rivals at the moment. And they're linked to, look, they've got to land the signings. They've got to bring the Caicedos in. They've got to bring Onana in. But you start adding that kind of quality plus clearing out what they're looking to sell. I just don't see how they're not 110% in the top 4 race next year, bringing in that type of quality. And I know what you said, Mo, why would he join Chelsea? But I think it's for that reason, because I don't necessarily, some of you may disagree, I just don't think Chelsea are going to remain mid-table or outside the top 6, top 4 challenge for very long at all. I think
it'd be silly to write off Chelsea, man. As an Arsenal fan, I don't want to praise them, but things can turn around very quickly, really and truly, if they get things right. They've still done things in the game. Chelsea can get back to it. Obviously, with no European football, for someone like Poch, you mainly got 1 game a week. It's a good building block, man. So you're right, Terry.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their squad, and I'm just stating a fact here. They, based on what we're hearing, they're gonna end up with only 2 midfielders on the squad before the signings. Chukwuemeka and Enzo Fernandez. So they need to add at least 3, at least.
It's not even that. They have to get rid of a goalkeeper as well.
They have to get rid of 2 goalkeepers, guys. Koulibaly probably on his way out. Koulibaly probably on his way out. Fofana, and people say, yeah, the talent is there for Fofana, but he wasn't great this season. He was injured most of the season. Korea wasn't great as well. So Reece James always injured. I'm looking at Chelsea and I say, yes, they have money and they have probably some pillars there. Raheem Sterling wasn't great this year. So for him to join Chelsea based on a future promises and all the stuff. While there are other clubs that are more established already, like Arsenal, they don't know the goalkeeper. Man United need a goalkeeper, desperately need a goalkeeper now. Imagine if Onana goes to Man United. I think it's going to be massive for him and Man United as well. And he's cheaper based on the reports from Diego Costa.
Well, Man United have just made the Diego Costa thing's interesting. So the Muppeteers, who have been known to be pretty legit on this, and the Portuguese press, there's a 75 million euro buyout clause for Costa, but Porto have got big financial trouble. So you're looking at around 50 million euros for both of them. I've actually watched more of Costa than Onana. And by the way, I would take either. I think both are brilliant. And that's
put Ward-Prowse in goal, man.
Yeah. And that's not even by our low standards of goalkeeper right now. That's just in general. Both, I think, are absolutely brilliant. So, and I've seen United linked to Onana as well. And I just feel in 2023, if you don't have a competent goalkeeper with his feet, who's also an elite shot stopper. Sorry, I didn't speak properly. You're gonna be in trouble. You need it. It's so fundamental to, especially with someone like with how Poch wants to play, how Ten Hag wants to play. You need to be able to build up from the back. And when I watch this play against, I go back to the FA Cup final. We did what Inter did for large parts of the game. We nullified a lot of the top players at City. We stopped them from being able to attack and rip us apart. The difference was Onana with that ball at his feet was pinging it around and finding his players in spaces. 17 times David De Gea had the ball at his feet, hoofed it, and we lost possession 17 times in a game. It's ridiculous. You imagine all of those 17 times the ball gets pinged into space in the middle and you're able to build an attack. Doesn't mean we would have won, but we've had far more chance of winning than 17 times that possession unchallenged comes straight back at you. So yeah, I think Chelsea in that same position as well, because Kepa had a good end, an okay season last year. Mendy, I don't really know what happened. He had that like 18 months of brilliance and then he fell off the edge of a cliff. Absolutely gone. So it's going to be very intriguing to see.
We get Diogo Costa more because you need to give one up for the recruitment for Man United of looking at some of these guys, like, because we've done lots more scouting on him than we have done on Onana.
Wasn't you guys also looking at Raya though? Because obviously I know we're in heavy talks with him, but
Man United were looking at him, but essentially
price.
They basically said 40 million for Raya when you can get Onana or Costa for 50. You're better off getting Costa or Onana. I think they're better than. I think Raya is very good, but I think they're better than him.
I wouldn't say Onana, maybe Costa. I wouldn't be so confident.
How many games you watched this year? We are in the final. Nothing against you, nothing against you, but we are in the final because of him.
Mo, he's had a good season, but I saw him prior to the season also. I saw him at Ajax, and I wasn't that impressed at Ajax. He did have quite a few mistakes in him.
He was there.
Me too. Yes.
His distribution has been very good, but at Ajax, again, I saw that. I haven't seen too much of him at Inter, but I didn't see great at Ajax. He wasn't that good. So again, I'm not going to say he's not great. But Raya, for me, I'm just saying, I think he's been very, very good over these past 2 seasons.
But let me tell you what I think is going to happen. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. That's from because today I was reading the Italian newspaper. So not the English newspaper. I was reading the Italian newspaper, and this is what they think is going to happen. They think Inter are not only going to demand 50, they're going to demand a higher fee. Chelsea are going to offer Lukaku loan deal for free. So that's extra 10 million on top of Onana. And they're going to try to offer Inter Koulibaly on loan as well. So I think Chelsea are closer to signing Onana. It's not only going to be money, it's going to be money with 2 players. Also, Inter are in for Chalobah on a loan deal for a year or 2. So I think Chelsea have a lot of cards to play in this deal with Inter, and Inter already have their eyes on Vicario, another young goalkeeper in Italy. I think Onana at the end, this is just my personal opinion, is going to join Chelsea because everything leads to that. And also Man United want to sign a younger goalkeeper, which is cost us 5 years younger than Onana, I think. So I think it's very close to Chelsea.
You've been harsh on him though a little bit. Sorry, Tom. You've been harsh on him a little bit there because a lot of keepers come into their own around Onana's age of 26, 27 and keep going on there. David Raya doesn't even lace that man's boots, bruv, in any area department, I'll be honest. Like, I think David Raya is very good. But all he is very good. Onana can actually save penalties. David Raya don't. And he's about 6 foot as well. He's tiny.
So he's 6'4", Raya is. He's massive.
No, he's not that. He's not that
6'1".
David Raya's a good keeper, man. I don't know what
he's a solid keeper.
Onana's been good for the last year or so, but let's not act like this guy.
You're going on like Onana was never good at Ajax.
I never said that.
No, this one down here because you watched him in a couple Champions League games.
I know he wasn't good at Ajax.
But you're talking about Champions League, but he's won multiple titles.
No, not in the Champions League. He wasn't a good goalkeeper.
Onana's good, bro. Like he's been good. It's just that his way of playing is a risk factor.
And that's even if he was good at Ajax, he was probably good because he was popping PED.
You can't compare Brentford as well to Ajax.
He was popping PEDs at Ajax.
What I will say though, boys, is United are also linked to Pickford today.
Made
me die.
Is this Diogo Costa the one that we played?
Sorry, bro.
Is this Diogo Costa the one that's been like Porto's keeper for the past couple of seasons?
Yes.
Is it
the Portuguese keeper?
God, I'm sorry. I've watched about 3 games of him. He's been awful every single time we've come up against them.
But he's been amazing in the Champions League.
No, Mo, I promise you, the game we beat them 5-1, that man made 3 of the most stupid errors leading to goals you could ever see. It was the Bobby. It was
this is the thing.
I think that was not him, by the way. I think that was the backup goalkeeper.
Okay, I just want to say though. But this is the thing. Alisson is looked at as the best in the world. But how many times in a season does he make mistakes? Loads.
No. I'm not saying he's a bad keeper.
Hang on. I'm not. Okay, yeah. I'm just saying this. Man United have got a goalie that makes a lot of mistakes and errors. But you know that the big standout errors that you have an issue with, that's done by most goalkeepers in 2023. Most of them will make those big errors with their feet. They'll all have a season or two where there's a ball that goes through them that shouldn't and they leak a weak goal. But it's about the consistency of them and then their ability to pull off saves on a consistent basis. And I think the Costas, Onanas, Rayas, all of them, from a United point of view, are just a level above where David De Gea is. We will sign a goalie. For any Man United fan that thinks we'll get one and there isn't going to be errors and mistakes, you're deluding yourself because there will be, because the best in the world make those mistakes. However, it's the frequency of them and it's the general ability. It's not even the shot stopping with De Gea I'm even worried about. It's the ability to play out from the back. And that is even more important. Viewers, do us a big favor and make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. Top 4 or top 5 race next season. Well, it's kind of top 5, but it's based on your coefficient as an individual club. So if Newcastle were to do it or Brighton, they may not get the 5th place in the Champions League. Tottenham, I don't know if they've got enough coefficient points. I don't know. We haven't been shown.
Or Chelsea.
Man United's probably got enough over the years, so yeah, they could probably.
And our Spurs have good coefficiency. We would.
Okay, good. There we go. Enough demand equals you'll be on Straight Facts show. Kind of, yeah. Like it does that. Plus, I'll be blunt with you. Anyone who's an aspiring content creator, you've got to be a good communicator, have a camera, say things not that are controversial, but actually have opinions and be able to articulate yourself. And you got to entertain me. I'll be blunt. If I find you boring, I'm not sitting on a show for an hour and a half with you. Because that's like pulling teeth. So if you ain't good, you don't get on. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Don's a great example. Don, the Chelsea fan, called into shows, called in this year. Brilliant. Boom. Everyone who's on this panel right now, I think barring Kaz and George, phoned in at some way, shape, or form, or got recommended in. So that's kind of how it works, my friends. But there we go. Arsenal. Sorry, I'm just laughing. I saw some pictures of City's parade. Their fans are still putting pictures of the Napoli parade up instead of their own. It's very weird. But Arsenal, it's said to be the German press are reporting that it is a done deal for Declan Rice. I think that's the German press conceding that he's going to reject Bayern Munich for them. But the German press today have said it's a done deal. He'll be going to Arsenal. Fabrizio Romano has stated, and I love this new word from him, that it is match point to Arsenal, match point on getting this deal done. So it looks like the Gooners are going to get this over the line, Brandon, who's joined us on the show now. Talk to me. How excited are you about maybe getting this deal over the line?
Yeah, definitely an exciting signing. I heard you ask Deluded earlier about which player would he choose if he could only choose one out of Caicedo and Rice. For me, it would be Declan Rice, purely and simply because he's got more experience in terms of like his consistency of playing year in, year out at West Ham, his leadership as well. I think there will be big factors if he comes into Arsenal. You see at the end of the season, we majorly lacked leadership. And I think he'd offer that as well. However, Tel, with match point, all of this, that, and the other, I'm not fully confident just yet that we will get this deal over the line. And I'll explain why. Mykhailo Mudryk perfect example for me. You know, everything lines up in Arsenal's favour. The player wanted to come. The player was twerking for Arsenal on Twitter. You know, it was quite clear to see that that was an easy enough deal to get over the line. The reason why I'm not 100% confident that Arsenal get this deal done just yet is it will come down to the money factor. And unfortunately, I can't trust the football club because they've proven to me time and time again that when it comes down to paying the money, the big money, to get these big deals over the line, we consistently fail at it. So hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully this deal happens. But until he's wearing an Arsenal shirt, mate, I can't sit here and say I'm overexcited, as many Arsenal fans probably would, if that makes sense.
Are you wearing a Chelsea top? I just want to make sure that I'm seeing this right. Brandon, that's not a Chelsea top.
No, it's not a Chelsea
Okay,
top. No.
okay.
I want to ask the panel a question. Some gooners are a little bit kind of downbeat about this, worried or whatever else. I've seen others come out and say that Arsenal are not serious. They should have got this deal done and the Caicedo deal done already, like Liverpool have done with McAllister. Rivals, do you agree with that? Are Arsenal acting in an unserious? The expression that's used is Arsenal are not serious. Are
It's a load
Arsenal
of
being
rubbish.
serious? Go on,
It's a load
George.
of rubbish. And I personally feel like it's Arsenal fans, like, because they've had a good season, they've started, like, we all know they've been a bit stuck up this year. Like, they've had like, their shit don't stink. And this is how they're starting to act now going into the new season. It's like they're about to spend £92 million on a player before the transfer window is even opened. And they are not, like, they're not being serious, apparently. This is what you want your club to do. The transfer window is not even open. We're not even in July. And they're literally out here doing business for deals. For one, their main target, by the way, the guy that they've been targeting since summer of last year, they've looked at him and they said, look, this is the man we want. So they're getting the job done and trying to get the deal done prior to pre-season. If this was my club, I'd be happy. You get your number one target in nice and early, and then you go fill in all the other gaps that you want throughout the rest of the transfer window. But you get number one done. I can't see how any Arsenal fan is crying right now, even making any complaints or excuses. Rice is a top player. Obviously, the deal was taking a lot longer because West Ham, when he played their final last week, he wasn't going to sit there negotiating and doing all of this talk back and forth whilst their season's still going on. So I think Arsenal fans just a bit stuck up. They really can't complain in this in what's going on right now. And if you secure Rice before pre-season's even started, then your window's already like a 7, 8 out of 10. You've already started off well.
England duty as well, right now as we speak, which I don't understand, but there's England duty, right? Am I right? Or wrong?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Because we need
Yeah,
that, don't we?
I agree with you, George. I sort of Sam said it on Straight Facts on Thursday or Friday when he was on. They're not being serious. They could have got this done. I understand they could have gone out and got Caicedo done already, but we all know what's going on with that situation. There's 2 or 3 clubs looking at him. Brighton are going to be the ones who are delaying this because they want to create a bidding war. Sometimes it isn't as simple as just go and put the money in. Now, I get Liverpool signed McAllister. And one of the most embarrassing series of tweets and comments I saw for 3 days last week was, 35 million, how have they done this? It's called a buyout clause, you morons. There was no, it's not a dig at Liverpool in any way, shape, or form. But this wasn't some ground-breaking piece of negotiation skills that's got Alan Sugar and Elon Musk scrambling to employ the person who did it. This was just a buyout clause and a bid that went in. Brighton could do nothing to stop it. The player's season had ended, so the the personal terms had already been happening. The difference with Caicedo and Rice is that both West Ham and Brighton are doing everything they can to create a bidding war. West Ham, by the way, will want to delay the Rice deal as long as possible. For instance, they're going to want to wait until Man United's takeover happens because they know there'll be money there. Brighton may want to do the same thing. They both know as well that Chelsea have got to sell or at least get sales lined up before they can buy. So they don't just want to go, yeah, look, there you go, £70 for Caicedo and 90 million for Rice, just for United and City to come into the fray in a month's time, where you might be able to get an extra 15, 20 million pounds for each of the players. Arsenal fans have got to realize that you're not the only, it's not just you in this situation. You're not going to Tesco's to buy a chicken salad sandwich and you can just go in there, you take it to the counter, you scan it in and you buy it. This is big business and there's more than one party involved. Everybody's trying to get the best deal for themselves. They're not they're not black and white. Even Rice, and I'll agree, and I want the personal terms, doesn't mean West Ham are going to roll over and have their bellies tickled straight away. They have to remain. That's, by the way, it's why I love the transfer window, because I love the sales process element. I love the to in and the throw in, the ups and the downs. I love fans that deny players a link to their club only for it to happen. It's like right now online, certain Chelsea Spurs fans don't believe that you're interested in Sancho. And I'm like, well, there's 6 different media outlets that have confirmed it. It's definitely a deal that's on and active. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But that's the fun of it. But yeah, for me, I do think, I agree with you, George, Arsenal fans got to relax. These massive deals. By the way, these 2 of these deals would be the 2 biggest deals in the history of your football club. They're not just going to happen a week after the Premier League ends. It just was never going to happen, in my opinion.
I think both clubs are waiting for each other as well, because Caicedo and Rice, you know, like, but I'm going to use the Dortmund example. They sat there and used the Enzo Fernandez deal as a benchmark for the Bellingham stuff. I reckon that Brighton and West Ham could be doing the same thing. They could say, we think that Caicedo and Rice are similar levels, you know, that they'll go for similar fees. So we want to see what they get, and then we will deal with what they get. We'll work out what we want off of how much Caicedo goes for or how much Rice goes for, etc. At the end of the day, West Ham, like you said, West Ham's final was 5 days ago or something. Was it Wednesday or whatever? I can't remember.
Yeah.
5 days ago, they came back. They've had a parade, and then he's went on international duty. There's actually been 0 time for this deal to get done, and that is fine. That is completely fine. It's not just because you haven't managed to get a deal done 5 days after the season's end, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Let it happen, because everything is pointing to it happening. Everything. You just need to chill.
Yeah, I agree. No, I do agree. But I do have a certain amount of skepticism because of the Mikhailo Mudryk deal. You know, everything lined up for Arsenal. And the stumbling block became the money. And that's where I have the issue with the football club. Are they going to stump up what West Ham want? Or are we going to find ourselves in a bidding war like we did with Chelsea with Mikhailo Mudryk and end up losing out on the player? So there's that element to it as well.
I hear you on that. LJ here says, thank you, Terry, for having, I think he means Brandon and Deludi Guna, 2 realistic Arsenal fans. No worries, LJ. I appreciate that. Joe, every time we do a new straight fact show with someone that isn't Lee, all I get from the Gunas is, thank God it weren't Lee Gunner. It always makes me laugh. Yeah, but look, Arsenal. I think Arsenal are going to do bits this summer. I just think, as you say, their fans have just got to maybe relax a little bit. But do you guys think that Arsenal are going to? What do you think, Patrick? Do you think Arsenal are going to put the money up for these players? Do you think they're going to sign 2 big midfielders?
I don't know about both of them, but I don't see why Arsenal wouldn't put the money up. They're definitely going to get one of them. All roads lead to Declan Rice from everything we're seeing and hearing. I don't understand why some Arsenal fans have got their knickers in a twist. It's going to happen. Unless something catastrophic happens, he's going to go to Arsenal. And then from what I'm seeing and hearing, Arsenal look like they've got their plan in order already. They're acquiring their targets. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but from a football standpoint, it looks like it's going to happen. So, yeah, I don't really understand. The season's just finished. Like Brandon's saying, season's literally just finished. I don't really understand the uproar. It's a weird one. I don't know. I think, yeah, some Arsenal fans have got a bit carried away with the season, but just need to chill out, man. It's crazy. Declan Rice to Arsenal is a brilliant move. That I can't lie. I love Declan Rice, man. Even a couple of years ago, when people were saying he was overrated, he's not as good as they now believe he is, I was like co-signing the kid. He's a top talent, and he's only going to make them better, which is really frustrating to see. But credit to him, man. He deserves the move. He's been brilliant for West Ham.
Declan Rice is incredible. He's incredible.
Yeah, I know. Literally, he can do everything.
Why do people forget that he played DM for the England national team?
Keep him. Glenn go to Arsenal. Don't want him. Don't want him at Man United.
Cass doesn't rate him as much.
No, it's not I don't rate him. I just don't want my club in its current position to spend 100 million when we could do 2 midfield places. That's all.
Kaz just doesn't like English people. That's all it really is. He just hates it. Kaz does.
Yeah, that's definitely the one.
That's like Calvin Phillips, though. He thinks Calvin Phillips is a better player than Declan Rice.
Kaz, what would you rather have?
Not now,
realistically, out of Mountain, who like, so Mountain's going to cost you what, 50 million? 40, 50 million?
I ain't coming. I'm in denial.
I'm going to say
hypothetically.
I'm going to say you get Mount and another midfielder for a similar price, or you get Rice.
No,
and you have to stick with Fred for another year.
Imagine this. Caicedo 70 million, right? Without the add-ons, I can get a Caicedo and I can get Amrabat for 100 million.
You could.
Oh my word!
Or you could just accept that you're going to be getting.
No. I'm
bought into.
I'm bought into him now. I'm bought into Mason Mount because I listened to Johnny Minerals going to a rant and he sold it to me. He sold it to me.
Because you don't think Declan Rice will fit next to Casemiro on the left?
No, because what Man United lack is ball retention. How many times I've said this and how many shows? No. You can press Rice. He's not press resistant. Actually, to be fair, let me being press resistant and having ball retention is two different things. We need press resistant players. Someone that's got low gravity sense that doesn't get tackled, wherever. That's why I wanted Kovacic.
I get. Right? Do you think though? One thing I'd say about Declan Rice, I don't know how press resistant or how good his ball retention is though, because
I saw him get pressed. I saw him get pressed by Amrabat, his counterpart.
No, I equally, yeah, but I saw Amrabat get pressed and he ended up giving away a couple of really bad fouls in the game. But my point is with Declan Rice, I think there's a player in there that you're going to see emerge as sensational once he's in the team that is far more on the front foot, where he's got the opportunity to hold on to that ball a little bit more. We heard, whether he should have said it or not, when Mikel Antonio was talking about playing for David Moyes when he was on Filthy Fellas, great podcast, by the way, people check it out. Yeah. It tells you where we all bemoan the way we play football under Southgate. So there are some question marks over Declan Rice. Can he do it? Equally, as much as we all think Caicedo is brilliant, I'm not saying he'll flop. But didn't we all say the same thing about Basuma, that when he goes to a better team with better players, you would see a world beater? He went to Tottenham where there's more time on the ball and less pressure. And suddenly, I know he had injuries and the management, and maybe he'll come alive this year. I'm just saying there's question marks over players when they leave smaller sides and clubs where the football's different and they go to big teams. But it's certainly going to be interesting.
That's the same thing. The thing is, you could say the exact same thing about Declan Rice, a smaller player that's got like a little whatever on the in a smaller team going to. For what Man United need, we keep praising how Liverpool not going to get Jude Bellingham in the end for the price that they were quoting him at, and going to get two capable midfielders for what they need. It's amazing. But when it comes to Man United, just because I don't want Declan Rice in my team, because we're not set up for a Declan Rice in Man United currently, because we lack a certain profile. I do Declan Rice or two players.
But by the way, I would do the deal you said. By the way, I would do the deal you said. I would do that deal. Caicedo and Amrabat and Mason Mount, those three midfielders coming in, I'd be well happy with that. But we'll see.
I would as well.
There's a super chat here that says, by the way, thank you, Deluded Goon. It was great having you on, bro. We've got to do it again. This is from Aston Mac TV that says the Cronkies actually sanctioned the 100 million for Mudryk. It was Edu and Arteta who didn't want to pay that much. The owners have no problem putting the money up, considering how they've gutted the wage bill. Absolutely, it was about getting that deal over the line and structuring it correctly. Can I say Brandon Williams is a real red? If you know, listen,
isn't he in trouble?
Yeah, a little bit. The club just basically said, you could tell he was wavy when he was either wavy or he can't read and write properly. Maybe he's dyslexic like me, but yeah, he was obviously having a go at Rio Ferdinand for saying that Pep's the best ever coach he's ever seen. And again, I heard Rio say it before everyone got mad about it. And I'm like, Pep is the best coach ever. But Fergie's the best manager. They had different jobs in their eras. Like Pep, in my opinion, couldn't do a director of football role at a club. Maybe you could. Maybe you couldn't. But we've got no proof in that. But yeah, Brandon Williams, fair play to you, but he'll be sold this summer, so he won't even be a United player anymore. So that's what's going to happen. Viewers, we are going to get into talk about the treble in a few moments. But the debate around it is going to be, where do City now sit in the English football pyramid in terms of most trophies won in Europe and domestically? We're going to look at that. But before we go, so stay with us for that debate that's coming up. But I just wanted to ask Patty and George, really, because, of course, you've got a new manager this week in Big Ange. Big Ange sounds like a character from EastEnders, doesn't it? You know, Big Ange and Pat. Do you know what I mean? Big Ange is now at Spurs. But, Patty, you're not overly happy or excited about it?
Yeah, I mean, when the news came out, I just voiced my honest opinions, and I was really disappointed. I was frustrated. I mean, we were teased with Nagelsmann. We were teased with Enrique. We were teased with people who I feel are at a much better level than Ange Postecoglou. I mean, he's here now. I'm going to have to back him, of course. You know, I want what's best for the club. So I'm hoping that he does come in and do well. But if I'm being real, this is a guy who's managed in the J League and won there. Congratulations. He's managed 2 teams in the Australian League and won there. Congratulations. He managed the Australian team. Did decent. Well, I say did decent. They lost 3-3 in the World Cup. So I say that again, Kaz?
I think he won the Asian Cup with them.
Yeah, he won the Asian Cup in 2015. They beat South Korea in the finals 2-1. It was 1-1 in extra time. My boy Sonny scored for South Korea. Went to extra time. They won 2-1. He took them to the 2018 World Cup, but left just before that. And then obviously he's come to Celtic, did the double in his first year, did the the treble in his second year. But my reservations, yeah, he's a winner. But at what level? The leagues that he's managed at aren't great. It's not our level.
The thing is, Pat, yeah.
Kaz, stop it.
It is your level.
Like, Kaz, stop it. It's not.
Aston Villa have got Emery. Why couldn't you go? What's it called? They got what's his name? Emery and all that kind of stuff. He's a winner.
Let me land anyway. So basically, what I was saying is that we could have done better than Postecoglou. From what I'm hearing, he's good for a rebuild. He's come into teams, gutted them out, resurrected them, and done well at every level. But the SPFL, which is obviously the Scottish League, I have my doubts and reservations there. The managers that have come over from there and managed in the Premier League haven't done too well. Brendan Rodgers did okay at Leicester and got found out in the end. He did okay in the sense of Leicester were 5th, but should have definitely finished in the top 4 in both of their seasons where Brendan Rodgers bottled it. Steven Gerrard was heralded as the next big thing.
Steven Gerrard helped get Aston Villa to European football. You know,
yeah, yeah, by getting sacked just in time to get Emery in. But again, Gerrard, was great in SPFL. Came over Aston Villa, got found out. Gerrard was meant to use Aston Villa as a stepping stone and then become the next Liverpool manager. That's how good he was meant to be after people seeing him in the SPFL, and we also heard how that ended. So I have my reservations about Ange Postecoglou. Can he do it in the Premier League? We'll have to see. I know he plays attacking football. I know everything he says sounds good, but when you could have gone out and got Nagelsmann, could have gone out and got Gallardo, you were talking to Enrique, you were talking to Arne Slot, for whatever reason, none of these materialized. Of course, Daniel Levy and probably the lack of control.
What did you want to go, Patrick?
Wait, did you want to
go?
Did you want?
Hang on, but Mo. But that's the point, though, Mo. Like, he's disappointed because Spurs. Sorry, you've got a bit of background noise coming from you, Patrick. Sorry. This is why they're disappointed, because all the managers they wanted, they couldn't get done. So I get your point that they didn't want to join Tottenham. So what are you going to do? But that doesn't stop you from being disappointed. The way I feel like Patrick feels is this: it's like you've got the opportunity to, you want a girlfriend. You tried to get Beyonce, you tried to get Rihanna. Yeah, you tried to get Megan Fox, but you end up with Dylan Mulvaney. And there's a frustration at the end of it. Do you know what I mean? You haven't quite got what you wanted. Do you know what I mean? And I get it, because I agree with you. I think this could be a disaster. This could end up being a disaster for Tottenham if they don't buy him the right players.
But I don't think he has any pressure. This is what I think.
Sorry, let me just finish my point. Sorry, but if they don't buy him the right players and then the fans don't give him time, this is going to be another disaster for Tottenham. Can
I just say real quick, I'm surprised with the way that you guys are reportedly chasing Harry Maguire. I'm surprised you didn't go for Southgate. He's the only man who can deal with a Maguire and Dyer centre-back partnership. You know what I mean?
Did you want Arne Slot?
And just one last thing. I know my mic is a bit of background noise. What I said as well, and a lot of fans agreed with it and didn't agree with it. I said I didn't want a manager who's only 5 games away from a crisis. At the end of the day, any manager that comes in is a risk and a gamble, especially if they haven't managed in the Premier League. Even if they have a new team, new surroundings, new players, it can all go terribly wrong. But this Postecoglou guy, if he comes in and we struggle in the first 2 or 3 games, then we've got, say, for example, Chelsea and Arsenal. We get turned over by Chelsea and then battered by Arsenal. It's going to get pretty ugly pretty quickly. I hope it doesn't go that way, of course not. But like I said, I wanted a guy who had a bit more caliber and a bit better ilk behind him, so that if it did get sticky, the fans would still stick behind him. A lot of people are saying that they are going to stick with him. They love what he's saying. They love everything about him. He seems like he's here for the long run. A 4-year contract signifies that he's here for the long run. Hopefully, everything they're saying, they are going to back him, get the players in that he wants, get rid of the people that he doesn't want. But I've been here before, man, with better managers, and we struggled. So I have my reservations. That's all I'm going to say.
I've got to say that, yeah.
Go on.
I feel like with regards to, I totally agree with some of your points. I personally come on the show and I've said many times, Nagelsmann, Arne Slot, and Luis Enrique, that they were all the three managers that I wanted. I said, look, one of these and I'm happy. They're managers of a good ilk, managers that have already established and we already know what to expect of them. I think the one thing that has a lot of Spurs fans scared with Postecoglou is that we don't know what to expect. I personally think that it is still a very good appointment. You can look around and say we didn't get some of these big other managers, which is fair, but he's still a very good manager. He's good at what he does. Maybe not as a big profile as some of the Nagelsmanns or some of the other managers who have managed at a higher level. But as Patrick said, he's won pretty much at every place he's been. He may not have done it at a higher level, but he's a winner. He's a manager that knows how to instill formation. He knows how to instill the way that he plays into a team to make sure that they will go and they're going to go win. Mentality is one thing that we have wrong with our squad. A lot of our players are mentally just in the gutter. They're not ready for it, and they have a horrible attitude. This is a manager that can come in and that can change that. Has a proven track record. Go on.
The thing is, we're saying all of this now that he's appointed, but let's be real. Before he was appointed and his name was mildly linked to Tottenham, no one wanted him in. And this was my point. I'm not just going to sit here and then pretend I'm happy because we got a manager in, especially if he's a manager I didn't want. Pochettino, Nagelsmann, Marcelo Gallardo. That was the kind of manager that I wanted and was always talking about. Not in my wildest dreams that I expect Ange Postecoglou to be managing.
I understand what you're saying, but if we're being totally honest,
24. So that's, I've got to be honest. The standard and level isn't there for me. So I'm not. Yeah, of course I'm going to back him. He's here now. I have no choice, and I hope I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to lie.
But if we're being honest, Pat, with regards to Marcelo Gallardo, yeah, that's just a hot name for me. It's just a name that sounds nice. He was over there in Brazil, and a lot of people love to scream his name and shout
Argentina, managed River Plate.
Yeah, he was over in South America. And he done his thing at River Plate.
Right there. Can I ask a serious question? Wait, did you want Arne Slot?
Did we?
Pat, No, Patrick, did you personally want Arne Slot?
I didn't, but I was warm into the idea. Once I was told about him and I looked into him, I thought, you know what, this is someone I can. And again, Arne Slot, I feel, is at a higher level than Postecoglou.
Marcelo Gallardo. Then, did you ever watch any games that he managed in River Plate and all them other teams they went to before?
Yeah, I did. I've been talking about him for the last 2 or 3 years.
What's the difference in the quality that he's won at compared to what my man's won at?
The Argentinian league is a much higher level than South America. Than Australia, than the J League and the SPFL.
So this guy has gone into multiple leagues, played great football, and won everywhere he's been. But you want to talk about getting a Nagelsmann in or an Enrique? Well, let's face it, Terry I think he put a nail on the head right there. It's the whole fear factor of not getting the same players. If Nagelsmann or Enrique doesn't get any of the players that he wants, it's all gonna fail.
Anyway, I don't think so, though. That's not the case for Nagelsmann. He would be identifying the players and the type of player he wants rather than the specific player.
I think there's a lot of truth. It's going to be intriguing to see how it goes. It's just good to see Patrick be consistent, which he always is, because he said that Thomas Frank wasn't at a high enough level. And if you say Thomas Frank's not a high enough level, you can't suddenly say that Big Ange is, because
exactly. And they came for me on here because obviously when Brentford beat us, they said, "Oh, Thomas Frank, he said he wasn't good enough and he beat you." Yeah. And I was like, "Of course, but Ryan Mason's managing us. With all due respect, every manager should be better than Ryan Mason." But the thing is,
Patty's
frozen. I don't know if it's just Pat. Yeah,
Patty's frozen there.
Daniel, leave. You got him.
I get you. So I get that. Viewers, make sure you're hitting like and share buttons for us. Make sure you're subscribing to the show as well. I want to move on to the big debate of the night. Man City have now won more major European and domestic trophies than Chelsea, and we can see this now if we put it up on the screen. So this counts Super Cups and Community Shields. It's the major trophies, as you can see. They're now on 26, where Chelsea are on 25. They've surpassed Chelsea in terms of total numbers of those major trophies and done a treble. They're 5 behind Arsenal, but have not just the Champions League, which Arsenal do not. They completed an historic treble. Have Man City now surpassed Chelsea and Arsenal, or is there still a way for them to go? we've heard a lot of talk on socials in the past 2 months that they've ruined Man United. Man United's history's in the mud. Man United have been surpassed. But surely if Man United have been overtaken, you've got to look at the Arsenals and Chelsea and say the same thing. What are we saying? Because I see this stuff being spoken about all across social media today from City fans. I see it on TalkSport, Sky. What are we saying on the football terrace? Have City now surpassed Chelsea and Arsenal, or are they some way off from that? What are we saying? I'm going to go to Brandon first on this.
I believe they have. Obviously not in terms of trophies overall, but I believe they've surpassed both Arsenal and Chelsea purely and simply because of the achievement of the treble. The treble for me is a bigger achievement than what Arsenal and Chelsea have ever achieved. And I look back at this as well, right? If you look back at this, Man City, let's be real, they were never a big club until Sheikh Mansour came in. Now, he only joined Man City in 2008. So in the space of 15 years, they have achieved the treble in 15 years, when Arsenal, for one, haven't won a Premier League title in 19 years. So that's why I say, for me, that yes, Manchester City have overtaken us, and I believe, as in terms of trophies as well, Chelsea. So I look at that treble achievement, and I just think it's bigger than anything that either of our clubs have ever done. Including the Invincibles. People like to hype up the Invincibles and this, that, and the other, but 3 trophies to 1 kind of speaks for itself, really.
I have to agree with Brandon there. I think the Man City have overjumped both teams simply because not just the treble, they have the three-peat, they have the Centurions, they have a lot of records that no other team will be able to come near. And with regards to the actual just trophies, we all know Man City are going to get 5 or 6, like they're 5 trophies behind Arsenal. They'll get that within the next 3 to 4 years, 100%. So the trophies aren't even what you need to look at. I feel like it's more that Man City, out of all the other teams that I've mentioned, they have an era now. They have a good 7-8 years where you can look at where Manchester City have completely dominated English football. Arsenal don't have that. They don't have an era of 8 years where they've completely dominated. Chelsea had about 2 years where they dominated, but no team can look at Liverpool, Man United have, but no other team apart from Liverpool, Man United can look at the Premier League and say, look, we've had 6, 7, 8 years of pure dominance in the Premier League, and now Manchester City can. And so I feel like they've completely jumped Chelsea and Arsenal without putting the trophies, the number of trophies to the side. Them as a team and as a club now, they've put themselves in that top 3 bracket, and it's 3, and then there's a big space between the next.
I don't know. I have to disagree. You can't just jump history whenever you choose and please, because history spans from when football started, does it not? Right? Arsenal, you say, didn't have a dominant period, and now people are going to laugh, but in the 30s, they had a dominant period. Throughout most of the 30s, if we're being honest. That counts. Just because it was in the 30s compared to the 2000s and stuff like that. Can't just jump it. They're not a bigger club than Arsenal. And currently, they're not more so successful class than Arsenal. For me, are they more successful than Chelsea? Yes. And to be fair, they're literally on the verge of being bigger than Chelsea as well. Because if you really want to deep it, before Roman Abramovich's era, City were also bigger than Chelsea before they got the money done.
We know what we are. We know what we are. Champions of Europe. We know what we are.
Hello, Daps.
Anyways, if you want to, also if you want to deep it, before Chelsea's takeover and Thingy's takeover, major honors wise, Chelsea won the league once. Actually, City were actually quite good in the 60s, right? So if you want to play history, you can play history if you want. If you want to play what you just said, Brandon, as well, you're correct. City were bigger pre-takeover, and now they're bigger than them now. Except they just got one more Champions League. Whether you like it or not, it's a true. But it depends how you want to define success, and how much you want, how you want to define.
I get where you're coming from, and I think you're right there, Kaz, around what you defined. In terms of total trophies, Arsenal were ahead of them. And the thing is, I've gone onto like 4 or 5 different websites, and some include Community Shield, some don't. Some include things like full members cups that don't exist anymore. But give or take, most websites, City are 4 or 5 trophies behind Arsenal, and they're in and around the same amount, if not 1 or 2 more than Chelsea, depending on what website you go on. And as the reason I say that is I've gone into 5 or 6, and it's in that ballpark area. I've taken the official stuff from UEFA's website, where they list all major domestic and European trophies. But in terms of, for me, I kind of side with George a little here. total trophies is massive, but then dynasties and dominant eras, and then multiple trophy winning seasons. Those that the domestic treble that's been mentioned. You've got Arsenal have the Invincibles, which is an amazing achievement. City have got the Centurions. They have then gone and done a treble, only one of 2 English teams to ever do that. And it is an accolade, the treble, that the biggest teams in England have been chasing for a very, very long time indeed, and have got themselves over the line. And of course, fan base wise, City are nowhere near the size of Chelsea, nowhere near the size of Arsenal. As in terms of size of club, they're not. Although right now they're valued higher, their revenues are higher. We know there's a big asterisk next to the revenues of that club at the moment while that investigation is going on. But what City are doing and what they're achieving is nothing short of sensational. And if we say right now they're not ahead of them, when you look at the current hit rate, they're going to surpass them both in the next 2 seasons anyway, right? Like they keep winning like this. We might say on the show today, no, they haven't surpassed them either yet. And listen, I'm a Man United fan. I'm going to say this too. Get rid of the Community Shield for a minute because no one really takes them too seriously. They're only 20-odd trophies behind us. And at the rate they're currently winning them, and Liverpool, the rate they're currently winning, in 4, 5, 6 years' time, we're going to be having a debate with us. The debate's going to happen with us as well. So there's no hiding from this. The only way you really respond to City right now is beating them to the punch on winning these trophies, because their form, the direction they're going in, the frequency they're winning at is nothing short of sensational. And I think they've etched themselves into history to a massive level. But how about yourself?
I was just going to say, don't you also have to consider the weight of the Champions League? Because like Chelsea fans argue, they're bigger than Arsenal because they got 2 Champions Leagues. And they've got nowhere near as much trophies, probably like 7 or 8 behind. Man City now have that Champions League. Does that not weigh heavy? Because Arsenal don't have no major European trophy. They just don't.
Arsenal don't have any European heritage. There's no European heritage at Arsenal. Whether they like it or not, their biggest nights are quarterfinals against Barca. They don't have these big nights where they've won trophies at the end of it. There's no night at the new camp where they had a last minute comeback. There's the night against...
They did reach the final once, Tom, in 2006.
Yeah, and they got knocked out because the goalkeeper decided he wanted to play handball on the edge of his box.
No, don't just say that. Thierry Henry as well. He missed sitters.
So, European heritage is a massive thing because domestically, if you're going to separate the differences between this Arsenal side and this City side, it is, I'd say, biggest achievements, they're very similar. The Invincibles, and then you take your pick out the Centurions, the treble, whatever. Fan base wise, yeah, Arsenal are much bigger. But then when you get down to it and you go, what is the difference what's the main differences? Arsenal are, correct me if I'm wrong, the record holders for most FA Cups in English history with 14. So that's their not crowning achievement, but the thing that puts them above the rest. They're the dominant side in the FA Cup. City can then counter that and go, well, we have a Champions League, which you don't have. It all comes down to which one you put more weight onto. In reality, this debate is pretty pointless because by the end of 2 seasons' time, City will have unanimously usurped Arsenal because they are showing no sign of slowing down. And at Arsenal, as good as you might get, you are not going to slow this thing down in Pep's last 2 seasons. He's going to go out on a high. And
at
then
the
we'll
moment,
start playing catch up.
At the moment, for me, I'm looking from outside, not an Arsenal fan, not a City fan, and I don't like monopoly. I'm watching the Champions League, the treble, this Man City dominance, and I will always remember this as the Man City period. Arsenal have 16 cups, Man City have 15, Arsenal have 13 league titles, Man City have 9, but they have a Champions League, and also they have numerous of Champions League semi-finals, also 2 finals. I'm sorry, I'm looking at Arsenal and saying you're really looking at your 13 leagues and saying, yes, we are bigger because we won this. But Man City have dominated English football, have done a treble, which is, in my opinion, is the hardest thing to do in football because you can focus on the league as much as you can and be invincible, which is no disrespect to the Invincibles. It has been done by Juventus, has been done by other teams. But to focus on 3 competitions at the same time and win them all, I think it's a harder thing to do, especially Man City only have, let's say the squad is not like 30 players. They have like 15, 16 players. You look at the players that play in every game. Champions League with the manner they did it on winning this year, winning the leagues 5 times out of 7 years this manager has been here. They have to be the bigger club. It's not about fan base. It's not about the infrastructure. It's just about, I'm looking at both of them and the achievements of City are bigger than Arsenal. It's as simple as that.
I hear you on that. So if we're going to rank it, number 6 to number 1, who goes into number 6 position? Tottenham or Villa? To break it down, Villa have got 20 of these. We're using the same website, right? So
I'm gonna just give you the jump, Terry. It's Villa. They've got Champions Leagues. They've got more league titles than us. It's definitely Villa. As much as I hate to say it, it pains me.
Success or bigger?
They've got it.
Villa have a Champions League. Huh?
They do. I'm pretty sure
We got 2 European titles.
The Champions League just a bit better,
they
man.
got a Champions League, man.
Oh, wait.
When
What's
did-
the question?
when
Who's
did
not?
Villa win the Champions
So
League?
yeah, so this is stop 1 second, guys. So what when I'm saying biggest based on success. So the most successful in terms of who's got the biggest success is supposed the right way of phrasing it, because fan base wise, we know that, we know the order of that anyway. So you think you should be in 6th place, Patty?
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you looked at the different trophy charts. I thought we had 26 trophies. So when it was put in the group chat earlier, I was confused. So from what I know, we have more
I
trophies.
think that's the one including Community Shields, but
Yeah, so there's more, and we've won 2 European honours as well. Villa haven't. So for me, I'd put us there. I'll put us 6.
They've got 7 league titles to your 2.
Whatever makes you sleep at night, Patrick. It's fine.
Okay.
It's
So
all right. It's all right.
Are we going with Villa or are we going with Tottenham in 6th?
Villa for me. Yeah,
Villa.
for me.
Okay, so they've got it. Who would you put in 5th position?
Chelsea.
It probably just does end up being Chelsea, doesn't
I'm
it?
really between, but Chelsea have 6 European guys, 6, 2 Europa Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Cup Winners' Cup. Come on, 6 league titles, yes, but there's numerous of European success.
it's Chelsea.
I'm torn apart between. I don't
Is
know.
this-
How do you guys weigh? Because George said it. How do you weigh that Champions League? Like it's massive.
Mo, if you dare put Arsenal in 5th, these Arsenal fans are gonna kill you, bro.
Yeah, but listen, it's not agenda, but it's just because you said it. The weight of the Champions League.
So Mo, you're going Arsenal. We've got 1 Chelsea, 1 Arsenal. Brandon, you said Chelsea. What are you saying, Tom?
See, that Arsenal argument's on a span in the works, but I don't think this isn't a European heritage thing. For me, I might just. I'm just gonna put City there for now because I think next year they jump Chelsea completely.
Oh, Patty,
Arsenal. I think Chelsea be above Arsenal because Chelsea have won the Champions League and the Europa, so that's real credentials, and they won the world title, whatever you want to call it. So Chelsea have got a number of different trophies.
Okay, George, if you say Arsenal, that's them cemented in
In the 5th.
Yeah,
There we go. Arsenal.
Arsenal in 5th.
Oh
my
God.
4th place then. What are we saying in 4th, Kaz? I'm gonna go to you first.
In 4th, are we mixing club and success and size? By the way, now.
No, it's based on success.
If it's based on success, then I need to see the trophy count personally. He goes down in order. I think it's already there. Arsenal in 5th is outrageous, maybe. For me, no, they still won 13 league titles at the end of the day. But in 4th right now, probably Man City.
Man City.
I'll say
Mo?
Man City.
Chelsea.
Patty.
Man City.
George.
I got Chelsea.
Got Chelsea. Brand.
Yeah, I'll go Chelsea as well.
Tom.
Well, considering I said Man City 5th in the line, I've got to go Man City 4th, haven't I?
So that's Man City that are going to sit in 4th on the voting, which I mean, I assume by default that means Chelsea are 3rd, because I don't think anyone's going to put Man United, Liverpool 3rd. Who's 2nd? I'll go to Patrick first on 2nd place.
Liverpool. But I'm only saying this because of, I don't know, man. I'm just saying it from what I've seen. I've seen Man United win more trophies in my time, if you get what I mean.
Mo?
Man United 2nd.
Kaz?
In 3rd place, I would have 2nd place.
We already. I don't know why Terry put Man City in 4th, and did you put
because of the voting? Because
but I thought 3 of us said that Man City are 3rd, right?
No, we said 4th. No,
I said
3rd.
I said Man City are third and Chelsea are fourth. We all said that.
Yes, but there was
Yeah, you
more
know
people.
what?
There was more people.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Okay. I thought.
Second.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Liverpool, man. It's not even a question, bro.
He didn't even want to say that himself.
No, because if Arsenal put in fifth, then I've got every reason to put Liverpool in second. We're bigger in every way, man.
But the reason why we put Arsenal because they don't have European heritage, European trophies as much as the others. So Liverpool have 7 Champions League titles.
Yeah, we got much more FA Cups than that. Who cares, man? I ain't
You got 6. You gave him an extra one there. They got 6.
Okay, they got 6 only. You got 3.
I love how he responded with FA Cups. No,
Champions League, FA Cups.
Not the scary FA Cups. Oh no.
Let's take the FA Cup off. You had a parade for it, you dickhead.
And the Carabao. Do not do that. Carabao. Massive
You did. George, who are you putting in second?
I've got Man United, man.
United, Brandon.
Yeah, if you're going on European heritage as well, it has to be Man United in second.
And Tom, you're obviously going to put Man United second. So that's Man United in second place. They're fair democracy there. So it puts Liverpool number 1. So we've
get the parade. Let's go.
In terms of the order you did, it was Liverpool, United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Villa in terms of size based on success, order based on success rather than size based on success. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Viewers, what do you think and what do you feel? European.
I want to recount that Chelsea being third. I thought Man City was third.
Because they got voted into 4th, so they weren't even in the debate for. So Arsenal got put in 5th, and then 4 people voted for Chelsea to go into 3rd, so they have to be 4th.
No.
You do know there's going to be a bunch of people in the comment section now,
They're already calling us clowns and stuff. Listen.
Is yours gold?
I literally just
this panel is just cursed now. It's done.
Success is based on trophies, but I think Jaws made a massive point, and I want to put it out there to the audience. Does winning, like if you win 3 Premier Leagues on the bounce, and at the end of it you do a treble, if you spread those same amount of trophies over a 15-year period, is it as special? That's the question here. And I think when you dominate for a period of time, plus, I don't know, it's a question and it's a debate. You know, for some people, they think an invincible season makes that Premier League more special than a normal Premier League. So winning 3 Premier Leagues on the bounce, does that make them more valuable than 3 spread over 15 years? Maybe because the way you've won it and the achievement. I think you can factor, I think all of these things hold weight. But yeah, viewers, let us know your order ranked on most successful teams in England based on all the factors we've debated from 1 to 6. What teams in what order you would put them? Let us know. It is a democracy there. Let us know what you think and feel. Raz here says Liverpool, United, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Villa.
Also, haven't Arsenal never retained the title?
I changed my mind. I'd go with what Raz said.
Nah, they can't. Like Chelsea have won the Europa and the Champions League. So how could they be below Arsenal?
Because I'm not just one base off that. I'm just trying to think of Chelsea's never really had a dominant era, if we're being honest. 2, never done a treble, right? It's pretty much, again, like we can do this prehistoric as well. When I say prehistoric,
I think Raz's order is pretty good. That if I was voting all by myself, I'd probably put it in that because I would say 13 league titles is significant and 14 FA Cups. You know, only Man United are the only other team in double figures. They're big. What lets Arsenal down is that European heritage, as an example. But this is why Arsenal have got to start winning again soon. Because if Chelsea had a few more league titles, a few more European Cups, if City keep winning like they're winning, they're going to drop soon. And listen, all of our teams have got to start winning again.
And if we want to put it that far, Terry, like, again, history matters. Preston North End has also done Invincibles. That matters.
This is true. I want to say to viewers as well, just because I ask questions doesn't mean I'm agreeing with everything, but we have to have debates. Otherwise, what's the point?
We'll win the Champions League this year, Tel. Don't worry.
I'm going to go to the super chats here. This one here says, Terry, disregarding community, Arsenal 34 major trophies, Chelsea 28, City 26, instead of listening to Twitter tweets. Now, I got it off of UEFA's website, my friend, but I've also found another website that I went on to. This was on Sportskeeda that lists the most major trophies. They say that Liverpool have got 70, Man United have got 69. They say that Arsenal have 47, and they say City are in 4th with 36. So that website says they've got 10 more than you're saying, but they also say that Chelsea have got 34, not the 28 you've mentioned. So as I say, lots of different stats everywhere, but I went to UEFA directly. How relevant is the achievement of the Invincibles, I think it's very relevant, and I don't like how people play it down. It's massive. City are a small club doing big things. Meanwhile, Arsenal, United, and Liverpool are big clubs doing small things at the moment. Their legacy will always have an asterisk. What, Man City's? Or I think you mean Man City's. Listen, if they get found guilty, they won't have a bloody legacy, because legacy is owned by fans, not by it's owned by fans, and they need to make sure they win that court case. Is Manchester blue? What would City need to have more trophies than Manchester United, more leagues, and more European success for Manchester to be blue overall? They have to. Listen, they're dominating right now, there's no doubt, but you can't surpass 20 league titles, 12 FA Cups, and 3 Champions Leagues with and a treble, with 1 Champions League and 1 treble, 9 cups, 9 league titles, and I think 6 FA Cups, 7 FA
Something
Cups.
like
You can't surpass it. You have to have as much or more to do that, my friend. Yet another English club won the Champions League before Arsenal, and they're supposed to be elite. Did that hurt, Brandon? Because we were getting digged out because they matched our treble. How did it feel as a gooner to see another club win a Champions League before you?
Gutting tell. It's absolutely gutting, mate. You know, we qualified for this competition for 22 years straight, and we never won it. And then Manchester City, like I say, in the space of 15 years, have won a treble, including the Champions League. So, yeah, it's painful. And then it's even more painful when you've got Arsenal fans tweeting about Invincibles, is yours gold, and all this to, you know, as an excuse for it all. It's just, oh, mate, come on.
I hear you, mate.
What makes it worse? Tottenham got 2 coefficient European places above you as well, man. So all that 20-year period of qualifying for what? Just for Tottenham to be above you in European? Wow.
This year says Chelsea was a top 6 team. City were in Division 2. I did hear, what's his name? I think it's a esteemed company say that this treble was better because they beat United in like the final on the way to it. And I'm like, that's a good point. But these men were in Division 2 and shit when we won ours. It ain't our fault you were crap. Like, it's not really a flex, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? That's actually, there we go. Thank you for the super chat. I think the question is quite disrespectful to Arsenal. I know they've been bantered in recent times, but we're not bigger just because you put trophies aside. Chelsea is a separate argument. Arsenal, premature. Listen, I understand that, and bigger might be the wrong word, but most successful is what we're talking about here, and what you deem success to be. And there is no one size fits all, because everyone will interpret it differently. But Arsenal are still a huge club, and they're still massively successful in their history. If you are going to use Champions League to determine who big clubs are, then Nottingham Forest and Villa are 2 big clubs. They are 2 big clubs. They're just 2 big clubs that have not been relevant in terms of winning trophies for 20 to 30 years. But if they suddenly start adding back their winning, if Villa started becoming a title-winning team again, started winning FA Cups, getting back in the Champions League, you'd see their legacy, because they've got a massive legacy, but it's waned hugely. Cup Winners' Cup, yes, it includes Cup Winners' Cup, because that was a massive European trophy in the day. Don't make stuff. Arsenal have 2 European trophies. Arsenal
We're talking about the Interfairs trophy.
Just one. They have 1 trophy.
Interfairs trophy.
They have one. They have one trophy, Arsenal. That's it. Did that table include the Carabao Cups? Yes, it did. That did include the Carabao Cups. Nottingham Forest Nottingham Forest, not only 2 Champions Leagues, they retained the damn thing. They retain the damn thing. That's serious legacy there. But again, when you spend 30 years out of the top flight, you lose a little bit of your panades. A little bit. Nice waffle and breeze from Spurs fans. Don't chat about leagues when you ain't seen one in your lifetime. You don't look over 60, brother, is what Felix.
I'm not seeing the white hairs. The white
Are
hairs.
you
Man.
talking to me? I'm 65. What are you on about? 65.
We all need to come together and kick out these American owners out of our beautiful game. They are not the fans of the beautiful game. We can all come together and do it, but you just got to pull your money and not be prepared to watch football, because they only care about money. So there's one answer: take the money away. But everyone hates that answer because no one's got the guts to do it. No one, really. And then they go, that won't work, Terry. Of course it will. You boycott a business, which is what they treat it as. It loses money, and rich people don't like losing money. Rich people are easy to control. You see it in politics all the time. You just threaten to damage their back pocket and they do whatever you want. They're the easiest people in the world to control. Formidables plus Centurions, 2 achievements. United don't. I mean, that's just names. The formidable, like, yeah, it's great. It's names. It's brilliant. Like, do you know what I'm saying? You've got the Formidables and the Centurions. We've got the originals when it comes to winning things in the treble. Just made it up there and then. The originals. How about that, my friend? Do you know what I'm saying? I've got a better one for us. Never been to League 2. Do you know what I mean? That's an even better one. If you want to start going over history now, my friend. Or 3 times European Cup winners. How about that? I don't know. There we go. Listen, people, do us a big favor and smash the like button before you leave. Make sure you're subscribing to the Terrace as well. Kaz, Mo, Patty, George, Brandon, Tom, of course, Deluded Guna was on earlier with JJ. Thank you. Make sure you go and follow Never a Foul as well. Link in our description below. Go and give it a sub. Back tomorrow with more content for you. But until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very soon.